AT&T Uverse TV.
The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Black Hawks. We are Southwest.
The 4th of July is not only a day we celebrate our independence, but also a day we celebrate our American heritage with family and friends. From playing catch in the backyard to taking in a ball game at the park, the traditions of Independence Day have always included baseball. Tonight, we at Fox Sports and the Texas Rangers are honored that you have allowed us to be a part of your family as we celebrate the most American of holidays. It's the Rangers and the Seattle Mariners on Independence Day. Next.
With Old Glory flying above the right field pavilion, Rangers Ballpark in Arlington decked out in its red, white, and blue, honoring America on this 4th of July. Tonight, the Rangers and the Seattle Mariners wrap up this three-game series. And welcome into Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. On this 4th, we will join Chuck Morgan here in-house as he invites the crowd to honor America with the singing of our national anthem.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the 531st Air Force Band honors America with the playing of our national anthem.
It's brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT&T U-Burst TV. Check availability at 1-800-AT&T. Rethink possible. And by a reminder from Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Designate a driver. Now the Rangers have taken the field in preparation for the final game of this three-game series with the Seattle Mariners. Before we get underway, let's head down to the field where Rick Renner is standing by. Rick?
Well, Buzz, as we celebrate our nation's independence, you'll see red, white, and blue all over the ballpark today. Stars and stripes on the Texas T on their hats. America's pastime and July 4th go hand in hand, and it is a passion for many Rangers to play on this day to celebrate our holiday.
For one, I'm just thankful that I live in a free country and that I'm able to do what I love every single day, and I'm thankful for for the men and women who continue to fight to ensure that we have freedom every single day, because it's something that we easily take for granted. And if you really think about it, it's a blessing that we have it, and it's a blessing that there's so many that protect it.
The Rangers love to play in front of the big crowds on July 4th. They've won 9 of the last 13 games, and Ron Washington said before the game, the fireworks show is much more sweeter when the Rangers win. Buzz?
All right, Rick, yeah, no doubt about that. You got that right. And Martin Perez tonight looking to make that a reality with another pitching gem. He has been outstanding the last couple of times out. And we will take a look at the Seattle Mariner lineup the young left-hander will face tonight. Jason Bay leads off. He's in right field. Nick Franklin is next. Then it's Raul Ibanez, the left fielder. Batting cleanup, the DH, Kendrys Morales. Kyle Seager at third. Justin Smoke hits sixth. He's the first baseman. Andy Chavez gets to start in center field. Henry Blanco is behind the plate. And Brendan Ryan is a shortstop and batting ninth.
And we'll look at the Budweiser scouting report for Martin. 2-1, 237 in 3 starts this year. Since being recalled the second time he's had 2 starts, he's won them both against St. Louis, against Cincinnati, with a fine ERA of 1.32. Looks like he's going to get 1 out on 1 pitch. Friday against Cincinnati, he went into the 7th inning, 6 hits, didn't give up a run with 3 strikeouts. So he is pitching with confidence. He's had some opportunities in the big leagues. You don't see, Buzz, the same demeanor right now that you did before, when maybe he was hoping to do okay.
Yeah.
Looks like he's pretty much expecting to do well now.
Well, I think you're right. And, that was one thing, Tom, we talked to Nolan Ryan about Martin Perez.
Yeah, exactly.
He mentioned the body language difference. And it shows. I don't know that Martin Perez is necessarily trying to do that, but that's the result of feeling much better about what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't think you need to try. When you're pitching well and feeling good and you're confident in your stuff, that demeanor just kind of comes out. You can't help it.
Nick Franklin takes a strike. That evens the count now at 1-1. You ought to just keep up with the play-by-play. You got 1 pitch and 1 out, and that's great.
Well, I was going for 27 pitches and 27 outs today.
Be out of here before it's dark with the fireworks. Chopper foul by Franklin. Over toward the Mariner dugout. The count moves to 1-2. Franklin, a .287 hitter. He's a switch hitting second baseman for the Mariners. 4 home runs and 15 RBI. See, over the last 8 ball games, he has been swinging the bat well. One of the young Mariners that Seattle has decided to go with here in the second half of this season. Good off-speed pitch by Martin Perez for the strikeout. 2 gone very quickly. Let's take a look at the Ranger defense backing up Martin Perez tonight. You have Murphy, Martin, and Cruz, left, center, and right. Moreland at first, Kinsler and Andrews up the middle, Beltre at third. Pierzynski is handling Martin Perez this evening. Well, a very nice start for Martin Perez. 2 up, 2 very quickly away. Raul Ibanez, the veteran left fielder, takes outside for ball 1. Ibanez with his 20th home run of the year here on Tuesday night, that first game of this 3-game series. Set the record for most home runs prior to the All-Star break for somebody over 40.
pretty impressive.
That's amazing.
That's really impressive.
Ibanez, 41 years of age. I still think that played into the hands of the Rangers, and they were looking at Manny Ramirez, say, well, he's 41, Ibanez is 41. Ibanez is killing us. 2-1 pitch. It's fouled off to the left. It's 2-2. Take a look at the umpiring crew for this 4th of July. The home plate umpire is the crew chief, Eric Cooper, Paul Schreiber at first. Chad Fairchild at second. Marty Foster is down at third.
You know, the other side of it, Buzz, there haven't been many guys in the big leagues over 40 who look like he does. This guy's in great shape right now.
Two-hopper, hard hit, but right there, Moreland underhands to Perez in time, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. Well, Perez only 10 pitches to get the Mariners back to the bench. Rangers coming up.
I want to send a quick howdy out from Afghanistan to my family back home in Texas and to all the Ranger fans out there. Go Rangers. I'll be back in October and look forward to seeing some fall baseball in person. Go Rangers.
All right, Captain, thanks very much. Well, the Rangers looking forward to that also. Mariners out very quickly in the top of the first. Rangers coming to bat now. And here's the Texas Rangers starting lineup delivered by DeMontron RV, Ian Kinsler, David Murphy, and Nelson Cruz. The first three. Then it's Adrian Beltre, A.J. Brzezinski. Lance Berkman is the DH tonight, hitting sixth. Mitch Moreland, Elvis Andrus, and Leonis Martin. Martin playing in center field and batting ninth.
Scouting report for Hisashi Iwakuma. 7-3 with the best ERA in the American League after 17 starts. His opponent's batting average is the 4th lowest in the American League. Last 2 starts, 5 home runs. He's given up 4 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts. Rangers in back-to-back nights will be facing the number 1 and 2 pitchers in the league as far as earned run average goes. Iwakuma's a tough customer. He throws strikes. He mixes his pitches up well. Doesn't generally beat himself, although 5 home runs in his last 2 games indicates that maybe he has recently.
Now, speaking of home runs, the guy he's facing right now has hit 3 home runs. Often, Iwakuma has had trouble with Ian Kinsler. And the pitch inside, it's 2-1. Kinsler is 6 for 12 against Iwakuma. 3 of those have left the ballpark. That's pretty much, well, it's only 12 at bats. I don't know if you can say it's ownership right now, but he's getting to where he owns it. That's got a pretty good lease on it.
Not many guys 6 for 12 against him.
Chopper foul outside third. The count evens at 2-2.
Iwakuma made the Mariners out of spring training last year, but kind of as an afterthought. He wasn't in the rotation. He was in long relief. He wasn't pitching very much. They were basically hardly even utilizing him. But since he went into the rotation, he's had 32 starts. 15 last year, 17 this year. 15-7 with a 2.52 ERA. That's basically a full season, 32 starts. If you go 15-7 with a 2.52 ERA, you're one of the top 5 pitchers in the league. And that's what he is right now.
And he has run the count full to Kinsler, so Ian trying to start things off by getting aboard against Iwakuma. Payoff pitch on the way. In the air to left field. That is playable out there. Ibanez and Chavez. Chavez making the call, and he puts it away for out number 1. Well, Kinsler's skies to center field. We'll take a look at the Mariner defense. You saw Ibanez and Chavez. Ibanez in left, Chavez in center. Bay is in right field. Smoke at first. Franklin and Brendan Ryan, the shortstop tonight. Seager at third. Henry Blanco is catching. And Hisashi Iwakuma is on the hill, the 32-year-old right-hander from Japan. Iwakuma had a couple of outstanding years pitching in Japan. As a matter of fact, he won the Japanese equivalent of the Cy Young Award back in 2008 with Rakuten. He ended up 21-4 that year with a 187 earned run average. I don't care if you're in Little League, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Pulled the Justin Verlander MVP.
Murphy had drive to center. Didn't quite get the center of it. Right at the edge of the warning track. That is out number 2.
395 feet to dead center, and just got underneath it. That would have landed on the grass out there.
Well, Chavez has handled both fly balls, and with 2 out, here comes Nelly Cruz.
Rangers only had a couple of runs last night, 2 solo home runs against Felix Hernandez. They had some good pitches to hit. Some they got underneath, some they fouled off. Hernandez pitched a fine game, but he gave the Rangers some pitches that they just didn't take advantage of.
Cruz had a double his first time up last night, a rip and a miss on the hard breaking ball from Iwakuma, and it's 0-1. Nelly at 273, and primarily because of those numbers over his last 4 games, a .412 average. Popped out of play over the Ranger dugout on the first base side, and the count moves to 0-2. Iwakuma, a fastball, a hard breaking ball. He'll throw a straight change, but his out pitch for the most part is a splitter that he really has good action with. Down and away, and the count makes it 1-2. Cruz becoming a fixture now in that number 3 slot in Ron Washington's order. Ron put him up there about 3.5 weeks ago, and it has really paid dividends for Nelly and for the club. 1-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Pretty tough from Iwakuma. He sends the Rangers down in order. We have finished 1 at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington on this 4th of July. We are scoreless.
Happy 4th of July to everyone. And on this Independence Day, the Rangers and Southwest Airlines have come together to help honor those who help protect our country. That's the Faces of Freedom program, and this is a great deal. Ranger fans, you can nominate a hero who has served in the military, and what is going to happen is they can be honored before a Ranger game and also earn a 2-day trip to Washington, D.C. To find out more information, log on to TexasRangers.com/freedom. Ranger fans, you ready to go tonight? You bet. For a Ranger win tonight, Buzz.
All right, Jim, thank you. Kendrys Morales fouls down the second pitch of the at-bat. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Yeah, capacity crowd looks to be on hand here tonight on this 4th of July, and big fireworks show, of course, after the ball game. And Ranger fans looking for a lot of fireworks during the game.
You know, I bet you a lot of these people, Buzz, what a perfect day. You wake up, you expect to spend the day with friends and family. Maybe you have a barbecue out by the pool. Then you all maybe take a little nap late in the afternoon, get in the car and go to see a Ranger game.
There you go.
And watch a big fireworks show afterward. That's just about a perfect day.
Maybe tailgate a little with a little barbecue prior to the game.
Take some of the leftovers from the barbecue and tailgate before the game.
There you go. All ages are certainly welcome anytime out here, but particularly on this festive holiday. And the pitch is low, and Kendrys Morales draws a leadoff walk as he faces Martin Perez. So the first base runner of the game goes to the Seattle Mariners. A leadoff pass puts Morales aboard and brings up Kyle Seager. Seager hit the game-winning home run last night, a 2-run shot off Robbie Ross in that 10th inning. For Seager, his 12th home run of the year. He is really coming into his own at the major league level. 276, 38 RBI, and he's found a pretty good home in the middle of this Mariner order.
Yeah, Seager came into the game last night hitting .215 against left-handed pitching. But he had a couple of hits against Derek Holland, and then Robbie left his cutter on the inside half of the plate, and Seager hit the game-winning home run. So 3 hits off lefties in last night's game. That continues to plague Derek a little bit, surprisingly.
And strike 2 is dealt to Kyle Seager. And, you know, it's become a problem, too, lately for Robbie Ross. He's been having problems with left-handed hitters. And then, of course, he gave up the walk, the hitter before Seager hit the home run. He walked Michael Saunders, a left-handed hitter.
Yeah, that's the one that hurt, because he had him 0-2, if I remember right.
Low and outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Saunders hasn't been playing recently, had a minor injury, but so he's not at 100%. And that one hurt when you get him 0-2. 2 outs and nobody on. Walk him and then give up the home run.
Yep. 1-2 pitch coming from Perez. Pretty good breaking ball. Couldn't get Seager to offer. It's 2-2 now.
But Derek had a couple batters like that in the 6th inning. I believe he had Justin Smoke 0-2 and walked him. Then with the bases loaded, had Zunino 0-2. It struck him out twice. Couldn't quite get Zunino to chase. And then he hit that infield single for the tying run.
Yep. And laying off again, Seager runs the count full with nobody out. Seager trying to get aboard. He'll join Kendrys Morales, who's at first. And following Seager in the order is the first baseman, Justin Smoke. AJ, why don't we try this changeup here on 3-2? Morales is going. The pitch is lined down the right field line. It's hooking and foul. And not by much. That changeup up in the strike zone, and Seager just pulling the trigger a shade too early.
Wow, that's about a foot foul on a pitch that Martin would definitely like to have back. He's fortunate that that's all that happened to that ball. Buzz, what was your philosophy when you get a guy 0-2? When do you try to make him chase, and when do you just say, I'm going to challenge you?
I try to stay aggressive on every pitch. I didn't believe in wasting pitches. You know, you get 0-2 for a reason. And I think if you say, well, I can't throw a strike to him or try to trick him. Here's a hot shot into right field, a base hit. Morales, who is moving on the pitch, will head on to third. And with nobody out now, the Mariners runners at the corners for Justin Smoke.
They threw him a 3-2 changeup, and that was a 3-2 breaking ball. Left it on the middle of the plate, and Seager put a good swing on it. Just get ahead like he did. It just never made a pitch. Got ahead with his fastball, tried to trick him with a breaking ball, and ends up first and third, nobody out.
Well, the first walk, the first hit. Mariners have something going now with nobody out, and Justin Smoke coming in. Got to finish that thought. I always felt it worked to my detriment if I went away from being aggressive. What got me 0-2. I didn't like to throw a pitch way outside or try and bounce a breaking ball or anything like that. Didn't try to throw the ball down the middle on 0-2, but I didn't try to do that the first two pitches either.
Yeah.
Here's Smoke, who had a good night last night at the 255 now, and he takes low for ball one.
It seems like we all make such a big deal out of someone getting a hit when the count's 0-2. But if you're throwing them the same pitches that you threw to get to 0-2, you know, what's the mistake there?
Yeah, well, if you throw a ball right down the middle 0-2 and it gets hit out of the ballpark, I'd be upset about that too.
Right.
Chopper foul outside third. That's not the idea, but yeah, to me, there wasn't that big of a stigma about giving up an 0-2 hit if I made a good pitch.
Yeah.
But I think the last thing you can do is get a hitter where he really feels at a disadvantage and let him up because you mentally lose that advantage. Rangers looking for the double play up the middle. 1-1 pitch on the way to Smoke. Good change up there, and it's 1-2.
This pitch he struck out Franklin with. Good changeup.
Well, Martin in a position now where he can think about going for the strikeout of Smoke. The strikeout, a pop-up, something along those lines. Perez set, and the 1-2 pitch. Got him. Oh, just fouled out of the glove of A.J. Pierzynski. That ball was deep in the glove, and it popped back out. You know, not much a catcher can do. I mean, you can't react to that quickly enough to say, well, I should have caught that.
Yeah, you got some kind of reflexes if you can move your glove to catch a foul tip.
Again, the 1-2 on the way. Got him swinging.
Good changeup.
Good strikeout for Martin Perez, his second of the night. Now with one away, Andy Chavez will come to the plate.
That's about as nice a changeup as you can throw.
Really is. There's good late movement to it. The way Smoke went after you, you would have to think that it looks like a fastball coming out of Martin's hand.
For sure.
So Chavez with good speed now. A tough guy to double up. The Rangers are going to play the infield, the middle of the infield at double play at the corners with Beltre and, of course, Moreland holding the runner on, playing up even with the bag. Chavez, a .271 hitter with a couple of home runs. Perez will continue work from the stretch as he has runners at the corners. And the left-hander's first pitch is a little bit low for ball one. Martin rushing that up there at 95 miles an hour. So he has brought his good fastball with him again. Eric Wedge liked what he saw from Andy Chavez. Likes what he has seen from Kendrys Morales, who's over at third base right now. Inside. 2-0 the count. One thing you probably want to be careful of, early in the game you might not see it, is the potential for a squeeze play. With Chavez up there is a pretty accomplished bunter. A rip and a miss, and it's 2-1. Perez studying the signs. Morales, the runner at third. Kyle Seager over at first. 2-1 pitch. And that is low. It's 3 balls and a strike. Ron Washington has talked about the young guys in the rotation in particular. He said, you know, you're going to have some inconsistencies. You have to expect that. We just want to see them constantly growing. High and tight, that'll load the bases for the veteran Henry Blanco. And Mike Maddox going out to the mound right now.
And Martine's 2 starts since his second recall. St. Louis and Cincinnati, he walked 1 batter in each game, so 2 walks in 13 2/3. Had excellent command. Not quite there here in the second inning. He's had a couple of walks in this inning, loads the bases. But you've got the catcher up there, Henry Blanco, and throw that sinker, get a ground ball, and bang, you're right out of the inning.
The one thing you don't want to do is throw him an inside fastball. You can throw him one if you want to, but that's the one ball that he can really turn on. And his 4 RBIs, talking about Blanco's 4 RBIs this year, came on 1 swing of the bat. He had a grand slam on a pitch inside in his Mariner debut. That was back on the 15th of June against the Oakland A's. So stay away from the inside part of the plate with that fastball. The base is full, 1 out. Blanco, a 189 hitter. Perez from the belt. Throws a fastball to the outside part of the plate. 0-1. Blanco, like many of the Seattle Mariners, have not faced Martin Perez before. The guys in the Mariners have faced him, the ones that were here early last year. Maybe a double play ground ball. Kinsler makes the turn on the first, and they got it. What a job getting out of that difficult second situation. Bases loaded, 1 out. The double play takes care of it. No runs, a hit, and 2 men are left. After 1.5, no score. Because of the double play turned by the Rangers against Henry Blanco. Elvis to Ian and on to Moreland. Well executed, and Martin Perez working his way out of a tough spot. A couple of walks, a base hit, and he was able to put another 0 up on the board. So the Rangers come to bat. Let's see if the momentum carries over to the offense. Beltre to start things off against Iwakuma. 0-1. Adrian, a 298 hitter, had a couple of hits last night, a single and a double. 4 for 14. The Ranger third baseman is against Hisashi Iwakuma. Rip on a fastball, fouled it back. It's 0-2. Rangers now have faced Iwakuma 7 times, so he's not an unknown quantity as far as the hitters are concerned. But they still, it's a testament to the kind of stuff he's featuring out there. 0-2 pitch is fouled back. Ranger hitters still have a difficult time adjusting to him early in a ball game.
He's had a couple of starts against him this year, and they've both been good starts. Both of them in Seattle. He's pitched well in both of them.
Still 0-2 to Beltre.
In his last 3 starts, though, he's 0-2 with a 5.40 ERA. He's given up 4 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts. Hasn't had a stretch like that before. Mentioned before, he's also given up 5 home runs in his last 2 starts.
Beltre pops one up down the right side. That will twist its way back into the seats and well out of play. It's still 1-2. It's like, you know, as I sit here and watch this, he had Nelly Cruz and now Beltre. Both of them had some swings against fastballs that looked like they didn't pick the ball up well, and they're both good fastball hitters. So there must be some deception in his delivery, and he must be a little bit different each time out there. That ball is hammered high and deep, left center field. There she goes. Goodbye. Not much deception there. The Rangers lead 1-0.
Well, Adrian's had a couple of balls that he just missed. But he didn't miss that one. That went all the way over the bullpen in left center field. With the Rangers on the board, get the Rangers a lead early in this game. Now 6 home runs in the last 3 games. Long balls plaguing him right now. Probably right down the middle of the plate. Pretty close to it, inside part of the plate. Great swing by Adrian. Everyone in the ballpark knows that ball's gone.
Boy, Adrian lit the fuse on that rocket. Got it out of here in a hurry. Iwakuma, as the last couple of starts would indicate, having trouble keeping the ball in the yard. A.J. Pierzynski chops one to the right side, and that's where the second baseman Franklin is positioned. That is out number 1. And Lance Berkman coming up. Take a look at the hit speed. The ball coming off Adrian's back.
98.8 on a high fly. And a long high fly. I don't think we've seen anything over 100 miles an hour on a fly ball yet. Nelly Cruz has had the highest. I think his was around 110 or 111 on a line shot.
Here's Lance Berkman, the Ranger DH. And he first ball swinging, grounds one to the right side. Smoke cuts it off onto Iwakuma, and that's out number 2. Now let's take a look at the AT Twitter poll tonight. We'd like your opinion on what's your favorite thing about the 4th of July. And gave you the choices of cooking out, spending time with the family, watching fireworks, watching Rangers baseball. Just go to Twitter, and if you think it's a cookout, it's #FS Cookout. Same thing for family, fireworks, or baseball. We will tabulate the results and give you those as the game wears on here this afternoon.
As we were talking earlier, the perfect day is to combine all 4 of them into the same day.
That's it.
Then you really got the best of all worlds.
Mitch Moreland takes a breaking ball downstairs for ball 1. I know that the eye black does wonders for keeping the glare off. I'm not sure what red, white, and blue would do.
That's just showing your patriotism.
Yeah. Maybe it keeps the lights of the fireworks out of your eyes. 1-1 the count to Moreland. Mitch at 264 as he takes right on the outside corner. 1-2. The home run by Beltre, by the way, 431 feet, the estimate on the distance. and it was every bit of that. Went out over the bullpen in deepest left center field. 1-2 pitch from Iwakuma. Didn't mean to do it. A little chopper to the right side. Franklin underhands to first, and that'll do it. But Adrian Beltre led things off in the fourth. His 15th home run of the year, a blast to left center field. Rangers take a 1-0 lead into the third inning.
Stan, U.S. Army. Normally I'm a Longhorns fan, but right now I'm a Rangers fan. Go Rangers!
All right. Jim's Rangers are on top 1-0 as we head to the top of the third inning. And it will be Brendan Ryan, the shortstop, to lead things off. He's the number 9 hitter. And Martin Perez now with a lead drops in a breaking ball for strike one. First time we've seen Brendan Ryan in this series. He has been displaced from his normal shortstop duties, part-time anyway, by Brad Miller.
Oh, you're talking about this the first two games, Buzz. It really looks like Seattle's goal right now is to get as many of their young prospects who figure in their future into the lineup right now. Brendan Ryan's a fine defensive player, fine major league shortstop. But the youngster is probably going to get more than his share of time right now. Brad Miller was hitting .350 in AAA. Might be a little bit more in their long-range plans.
1-2 pitch is fouled back. And I would think the Mariners have done some soul-searching, too, as to whether they thought the guys like Brad Miller and Nick Franklin, Mike Zunino, are going to be harmed by coming to the major leagues if their psyches were such that they might bury themselves emotionally. You have to determine that, don't you, before you let a guy have the experience?
Yeah, I think that enters into it for sure. And I guess with a guy like Brad Miller, you would say to yourself, well, he's played in the minor leagues. He was hitting .350 in AAA. I'm sure they like his makeup. We're not worried about that. Let's give him a shot. And watching Franklin play, he looks like he's a makeup kind of guy too.
Right.
I know they really like him. High draft choice.
Oh, nice play by Martin Perez on the comebacker. Now here's Jason Bay, who swung at the first pitch and fouled out.
I think all teams tend to occasionally rush a guy to the big leagues. In Zunino's case, high pick in the draft, a college player, but not a lot of minor league at bats before he got to the big leagues. So those are things you have to consider. Do you want everybody here building for the future, getting their on-the-job training at the big league level, or is it better for them to stay in the minor leagues and get more at bats there? That's always the question that organizations ask themselves.
Sure.
Remember when Elvis came right out of AA? Not sure how old he was, 20 or so. never played at AAA. Feeling on Elvis was his strong suit was his makeup.
Right.
They didn't worry about that. He was kind of like Pudge coming to the big leagues at the same age. You knew he could play a premium position defensively at a very high level, and he was going to make enough contact to where even if he was not quite ready offensively, he wouldn't embarrass himself. He could bat at the bottom of the lineup, he could sacrifice bunt, and he'd make pretty good contact. Combine that with his defense on a team with a lot of hitting anyway, and he could be a really positive player, and that's exactly how it worked out with him.
That's a good comparison. 3-2 pitch to Bay. Chopper foul outside third. We'll come back and try it again.
I think the safe way, and I'm sure even an organization that would call a kid up early would say the safest thing is to let him get more time in the minor leagues.
Yeah. Again, the payoff pitch. Got him swinging. There's that changeup. It's a dandy. Go 2 up, 2 down here in the third. Nick Franklin coming up. Time for a Mazda game break. We will go to Dana Larson. All right, Dana, thank you. Yeah, Rangers need to win here tonight to not only snap a mini 2-game losing streak, but stay within a half game of the top spot. Franklin turns on one and shoots it foul down the left side, back into the seats. It is 1 ball and 1 strike. Nothing better than a souvenir on the 4th of July at the ballpark. 1-1. Now 2-1. Franklin, a strikeout victim the first time that he faced Martin Perez. Talking about Perez and the number of times that he had faced these Seattle hitters. Next pitch is top slowly to third. Beltre bare hands and has his feet go out from under him. Adrian got the bare hand. It's going to be a base hit. He got the bare hand, but as he went to shift his body, the feet went one way and he went the other.
It looked like the ball might have had some spin that took it toward the third baseline. Like Adrian was ready to field it and throw, and then the ball spun and went the other way.
Yeah.
Not much you can do about that. I think he thought the ball was coming right up to him, and instead it went the other way. It's probably a good thing he caught that ball. That might have rolled into short left field for a double.
You're right.
But you could see that bounce and how it went toward the third baseline after it hit.
Well, that's the second base hit for Seattle, and now the third base hit is a rocket off the bat of Ibanez. Franklin around second will motor into third with 2 outs now. Some problems brewing as the Mariners have runners at first and third again. This time it's Kendrys Morales coming out.
Well, that's right now with Ibanez swinging the bat. That's on the inside part of the plate. That's right in his sweet spot right now. He was jumping on that pitch.
Especially early in the count.
Yeah.
Loves to get that first or second pitch. The first strike that he sees. He's going to have a pretty good rip at it when he's swinging the bat well.
You know, the other thing, Buzz, in a lot of these games over the last couple of weeks, with the Rangers offense really not scoring runs the way we've seen them score in the past, there's a lot of close games, low scoring games.
Line drive.
Whoa.
Elvis able to corral that. A hot shot, but Elvis going to his left. No runs, 2 hits. 2 left after 2.5. Rangers 1, Mariners nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. Ford dealers. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. And by Jack in the Box. Go big at Jack in the Box near you with Jack's Big Stack Burger. Now 1-0 Rangers as they come to bat here in the bottom of the third inning. Elvis Andrus, who has switched spots with David Murphy in the lineup tonight. Elvis hitting 8th and fouls off the first pitch. It is 0-1.
Because I was talking before that line drive to shortstop, because all the games have, a lot of the games have been low scoring games, close games. We might be dissecting a lot of the pitches a little more closely than we would in 5-1 games and 4-1 games, but it's like, you know, every pitch counts because every runs are at a premium right now. You leave a pitch on the inside part of the plate, the guy hits a home run, that can be a huge determining factor in the game.
No, you're right, Tom, and it's been this way since really the first part of June.
Yeah.
You know, the ball club, they were putting statistics together for what the club has done, and it's not pretty. Offensive late, 4 runs or less in the last 6 ball games, but you go back to the 1st of June as Ellis taps one back to the mound. Easy play for Iwakuma. That's out number 1. We will get back to that thought in just a moment. We need to say hello to Jim Knox again. Jim?
All right, Buzz, appreciate it. This was a scene earlier this afternoon. The Fox Sports Fan Express bus rolled in, and on board, plenty of military from the Wounded Warrior Project. Yes, it's been a great couple of days here at the ballpark because last night, members from Fort Hood, military and their families, paid a visit on the bus, and also with them the past couple of days, Kami and Liddy, the Fox Sports Southwest girls. What's it been like hanging out with the military and their family the last couple of days?
It's been amazing, but first of all, I have to say happy 4th of July to you and everyone at home. We got the pleasure of spending some time with some guys from Fort Hood and Fort Sill today. We got here early. They got to watch batting practice. They got to hear a member and really just hang out in the ballpark with their family and watch the Rangers.
It's been pretty nice, huh?
It's been a lot of fun. We love any opportunity we can to get involved with the troops and the military. And last year, Fox Sports Southwest had an event here at the ballpark to raise money for the Wounded Warrior Project. So it's fun to get to spend time and kind of get to know some of the guys involved with that organization. And we want to say a big thank you to all those who serve and who have served in our military. We greatly appreciate you, and happy 4th of July.
Yeah, happy 4th of July, girls. All color coordinated, Buzz and Tom. Look at this, the camo outfit. Very nice. All right, girls, enjoy the rest of the game, Buzz.
All right, Jimmy, thank you. 2-1 the count to Leonis Martin, hitting with the bases empty and 1 away here in the 3rd inning. Leonis, 291 average at his 15-game hitting streak, stopped yesterday. Swing and a miss there, and the count is even now at 2-2. We were talking, though, about what the Rangers' problem since going back to the beginning of June. They're in the bottom 5 in Major League Baseball in a lot of areas, and you don't consider the Rangers a bottom 5 team offensively. They're only averaging 3.4 runs a game. Solid base hit to center field from Martin, and Leonis starting a new streak. Wrap that ball right back through the middle.
Well, we're not used to that with Ranger baseball. We're used to going a month with a team averaging over 6 runs a game, just pounding the baseball. And with that kind of an offense, a pitch here and a pitch there, you don't even notice it, you don't even talk about it. But in these kind of games, everything is magnified because the games are so close and so low scoring.
The Rangers 27th out of 30 teams in both average at .235 and slugging percentage. They're 28th in runs scored, which is maybe the most shocking of all.
I think sometimes it might sound like we're being critical of the pitcher by talking about the location of one pitch. Generally speaking, the pitchers have been throwing the ball great.
Yeah.
It's the offense that hasn't been up to par.
But, you know, as a pitcher, too, you have to realize what the offense is doing or what they're not doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it does put a premium on pitchers. On one pitch to a hitter at the wrong time can cost you a game. Last night, for example. You know, the one pitch that was not made to Michael Saunders set up a potential problem that Robbie Ross threw one pitch that most other times you don't even think, give a second thought to.
Yep.
Seager able to hit it out of the ballpark. It cost you 2 runs and loses the game for you.
And no one's trying harder to make the pitch
right.
than the guy out on the mound.
Yep.
So it's not an indictment of the pitcher and his effort. It's just the reality of where the pitch ended up.
Well, Leonis Martin has a streak intact, and that would be stolen bases in 6 straight games. He's got a pretty good lead at first. He's staying put as Kinsler takes the next pitch down and away. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Coors Light cold hard fact. We're talking about the 6 straight games with a stolen base. That tied the longest streak in Major League Baseball this year. Jacoby Ellsbury also had a steal in 6 straight back in the early part of June. Cold hard fact brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. 2-0 to Kinsler. Now 2-1 as Iwakuma gets that sinking fastball over the outside part of the plate.
A couple of birthdays to mention. Joe Stanislav, 89 years old, from Waco. World War II veteran. He and his wife Mildred will also be celebrating their 66th wedding anniversary on July 7th. Happy birthday, Joe. Happy anniversary to Joe and Mildred. And Joe, thank you for your service. Dee Coker is 82 years old today, from Waco. And Edna Fish from Paducah, Texas, was 86 years old yesterday. And happy birthdays, and hopefully the Rangers will bring you a win to celebrate it. We're counting on it.
2-1 the count. There goes Martin. He stops, driven to center field. Long run over for Endy Chavez. He's able to get there in time, though, to make the grab. And back to first goes Leonis Martin. There's 2 out, and now David Murphy coming up. And folks, a reminder that the best of the American League take on the National League top players in the 2013 MLB All-Star Game. That's going to be in New York this year. Don't miss the battle for the World Series home field advantage. It's Tuesday, July 16th on Fox. The road to October starts now. Another ball hit hard off of Iwakuma that he is caught deep in the outfield. Kinsler this time, and David Murphy had one of those his first time up. Sent Chavez back to the warning track in dead center. Gets it off the fist a little bit out to second base, and Franklin will throw out Murphy. That'll do it. Rangers get a hit, but strand a runner. We have finished 3 at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Rangers 1, Mariners nothing.
Transition unit, Warrior transition unit from Fort Sill here tonight, having a nice time. Happy 4th of July, everyone. This is Platoon Sergeant Nathan Davidson on hand, and you guys came over on the Fox Sports Fan Express here at the baseball game with family and friends. What does that mean to you?
It's been great. It's great to have recognition for the soldiers, to help them heal and in their transition to whatever that is, if they stay in the Army or get out and start in the civilian world. And it's all about them tonight, and just thank you guys for your sacrifices.
And we thank you, and thank you, everyone. Happy 4th of July. Enjoy the rest of the game. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Martin Perez going to work. Kyle Seeger takes a strike, and that evens things out. Now, this was earlier Wounded Warrior Project participants out for batting practice here this afternoon.
See Jeff Baker right in the middle there.
Wounded Warrior Project very near and dear to Jeff's heart. You know, he comes from a military family, and a lot of involvement by Jeff Baker in that cause. 2-1 the count to Seeger. Off the end of the bat a little bit to right field. It's playable for Cruz, who started that, and comes on to make the grab for out number 1. So Seager 1 out of 2 as he makes the U-turn at first base, heads back to the dugout. Now Justin Smoke coming up. Well, I suppose we got to pass along our thanks too to all those men and women who serve our country so valiantly and have served our country. Thank you very much for all you do and have done. Without your sacrifices, none of us would be able to sit and enjoy this 4th of July that we are enjoying today.
Amen.
Smoke a strikeout. First time that he faced Martin Perez. And he was up there that time with runners at first and third and nobody out. And Perez got that big strikeout in the double play that ended the inning. 2-0 the count this time. Smoke, the switch hitter, up there from the right side. Makes the changeup that floats away, and it's 3-0. Smoke is 2 out of 3 now in his career against Martin Perez. And the strike about belt high. 3-1. A.J. Brzezinski going down the sign, the 3-1 pitch. It is chopped foul, and so Perez has come back from a 3-0 deficit to run the count full. Smoke hitting 6th in the order. He'll be followed by the center fielder, Andy Chavez. Rangers a run on 2 hits. The Mariners no runs on 3 hits. Payoff pitch. Line to left field. That is in for a hit and going to the wall. Murphy can't cut it off. Smoke going for 2. He's digging his way in there. The throw not in time. Another off-speed pitch on 3-2, and Smoke looked like somebody told him it was coming.
Yeah, he was all over that. He missed an off-speed pitch to strike out the first time up, but that one didn't fool him. I don't think he was fooled by the off-speed part of it, and certainly not by the location of it. When he missed it the first time up, that thing was tailing down and away in perfect location. That one was up a little bit.
Well, 1-out double has Smoke in scoring position. Andy Chavez walked back in the 2nd inning. Chavez, a .271 hitter. He rips at a high fastball with no success. See, Andy, a couple of home runs, 11 driven in. Chavez was not with the Mariners in spring training. He was released by Kansas City at the end of spring training and signed a minor league deal with Seattle. Pulls this one on the ground to Moreland. He's going to have to hurry with Chavez getting down the line, and Martin Perez just does beat Chavez. Speed was there in plenty of time, and Martin really had to hustle to beat the speedy Andy Chavez. That's out number 2, and on to third goes Justin Smoke.
He made a good pitch, had Chavez out in front of it. Close play at first base. He mentioned that Chavez was let go at the end of spring training. There's no doubt that he's a big league player. He may not be an everyday big league player, but there should, when you talk about 30 major league teams, there can't be 30 major league teams that have 4 or 5 outfielders, all better than he is.
Right. There, here's Henry Blanco with smoke at third and 2 away here in the 4th inning. Check swing on the breaking ball. That's low and inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Blanco grounded into the 6-4-3 double play that got Martin Perez and the Rangers out of a difficult spot in the second.
Even though the Rangers have lost the first 2 games of this series, the pitchers have made some great pitches when it really counted during the game. Close games, a lot of double plays when you need them. Pitching out of big jams. Derek pitched out of a couple of jams last night. Martin's already pitched out of 1st and 3rd, nobody out. 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. Now man on 3rd and 2 outs. So last 3 innings, men in scoring position every inning.
And a ground ball to short. Elvis fields it off to his left, fires on the first, and that'll do it. No runs, the double, no problem. 1 left stranded. 3.5 in the books. Rangers leading 1-0.
Helping Americans. That's our July 4th message today, and it rings true in the state of Texas. In times of need, the rivalry between the states of Texas and Oklahoma take a back seat. When the Big 12 tournament in OKC was postponed by rain, the Baylor Bears baseball team headed instead to the Goodwill Center in Oklahoma to help out. To show their support, the team also donned the helmet stickers for Oklahoma throughout the tournament. And today is a day we celebrate our independence and the continued pursuit of happiness. You can still help those seeking assistance after natural disasters by going to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. Buzz?
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Yeah, I remember reading about that after the terrible tornadoes that went through Oklahoma City area, and all the teams that were down there for that regional kicked in and really did an outstanding job helping those folks. The 0-1 pitch all the way to the backstop, and Nelly Cruz now with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Rangers leading 1-0. Cruz struck out his first time. That was back in the 1st inning. It'll be Cruz, Beltre, and Pierzynski. First 3 hitters to face Iwakuma here in the 4th inning. Iwakuma with just the 1 strikeout in the game. Gave up the home run, of course, to Adrian Beltre. That is accounted for the lone run of this contest. The 1-1 pitch. 2-1 as that floater
spun that one up. Spun it up a little too high. If that thing was down about a foot, spinning like that. I like Nelly's chances.
I think he might have had a chance to launch that.
Yeah, I think so.
Take that spin right off it. 2-1. Line hard to second base. Right there is Franklin. You glove it. That is 1 gone. Folks, we'd like to invite you to tune in each Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest for Chevy Hometown Kids. It's not about the score, it's about the experience. Well, here is the difference in the ball game. Adrian Beltre launched his 15th home run of the year, a titanic blast over the bullpen in left center field. Takes the first pitch low for ball one. Adrian now 43 RBI. And that average at an even 300 as he faces Iwakuma. 1-0 pitch. Now 2-0. Iwakuma getting ready to throw his 46th pitch of the afternoon. He's been very economical. It's on the way, and a strike with a breaking ball. Home run that Beltre hit, his first since way back on June 9th. That was against the Toronto Blue Jays. And he chops this one down to third. Seager charging, throwing on the run, and gets Adrian by a couple of steps. That is out number 2. So 2 up, 2 away. And now A.J. Przinsky will come up. A.J. a ground ball to second. Back in the second inning. 279 the average. Przinsky 1 out of 4 against Iwakuma, as the right-hander deals a bit low for ball one. A.J. just 1 out of 18 on this homestand. He's seeing that average going to free fall, now down to 279. Got tied up with that inside fastball. It's 1-1.
So Iwakuma's fastball is very sneaky. Go along with the off-speed pitches that he has. It's not necessarily low velocity either. That last one was 93 miles an hour.
2 balls and a strike. He has excellent complementary pitches, what I call it anyway. Breaking ball is fairly sharp. He can change speeds on it. And then he has that nasty splitter that has to look like a fastball coming out of his hand.
Yeah, that thing's got great movement on it. Here it comes.
2-2.
You can see it in his glove if you watch carefully how he splits his fingers and causes that ball to go a little slower and drop down like that.
That would be your circle changeup grip right there that Derek Holland's working with.
There it is again.
And A.J. just able to. And Lowe's Home Improvement bringing you Never Stop Improving. And A.J. Przinsky against Seattle this season, 297. 2 years prior, 3 years prior, 141. That's pretty good improvement, A.J. 11 for 37 against the Mariners. Even in the count here at 2-2 to Iwakuma. And a number down the first baseline. It is a fair ball. Przinsky said, oh no. Didn't even bother running it out. Right on the line. That takes care of it. Rangers gone in order. Through 4 in Arlington. Rangers 1. Mariners nothing. Fox Sports Southwest.
I just want to give a shout out to the Texas Rangers. Go Rangers.
Thank you, Captain. We appreciate it. And they are going. They are up 1-0 as we head to the top of the 5th inning. Joining us in the 5th, as he always does in our Fox Southwest broadcast, Mark McLemore, co-host of Rangers Live before and after Rangers ballgames. Mac, thanks for coming by, and happy 4th of July to you.
Thank you. Same to you guys.
You enjoying the holiday so far?
I am. I just forgot my red and white and my blue and
that's
all
okay.
that.
No, that's all right. You're
you
good.
Guys got it covered?
You're good. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one good thing you didn't forget, Mac, and that's the poppy on your shirt.
I did not.
The poppies were presented to us by the American Legion Auxiliary, Unit 453 in Dallas. Appreciate that very much. And as we've learned, the poppy is our national symbol of sacrifice. I think everybody is familiar with the poppy. Not many of us know exactly where it originated and why. It actually originated way back in World War I, when soldiers coming back from World War I described the barren landscape and all the flowers that turned out to be poppies. It came to be a reminder to all of us that the men and women who served our country and died deserve to be remembered. And so we wear these poppies proudly. Thank you, American Legion Auxiliary, Unit 453 in Dallas.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much for the poppies.
And so you watch Ranger baseball, you learn something. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't either. I'm glad we got them.
Yeah.
And perfect date to wear them. Kind of a military patriotism theme today. And we're part of it.
And happy to be part of it.
Absolutely.
Jason Bay 0 for 2. And he's going to be 1 for 3 as he dumps one into right field. A softly hit single, but he is aboard with 1 out. That is the 4th hit of the evening. Make that the 5th hit for the Mariners against Martin Perez. So Bay aboard. Nick Franklin come up, who had an infield single his last time to the plate. Mac, we were just talking about it, about the funk the Rangers have been in offensively, and it's one that we have not seen around here from a Ranger ball club in a long time. It goes back 6 weeks now.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and that's something, we're definitely not used to seeing. I don't know what it is, but it seems as though it's a collective thing, not just, 2 or 3 guys, but pretty much the entire lineup.
Skied to center field, not very deep, coming on Leonis Martin. That is out number 2. Well, fortunately, the pitching has been really good, and our Ford leaderboard will show you that. Rangers second in team ERA to Kansas City, and just 0.05 of a run behind the Royals. And that has been really the lifesaver this year for the Rangers, how well that pitching has done and how consistent it has been.
How times have changed.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
But yeah, you're going to win and you're going to lose with pitching. That's where it starts and that's where it ends. So fortunately, the Rangers pitchers have kept them where they are right now. Half game out of first place right now, and that's what you want. You want that pitching to be there, and I really feel that the team feels the offense is going to show up. It may not be here right now, but it's definitely going to show up. So as long as the pitching holds up and the offense comes back, I think they feel like their chances are pretty good.
Raul Ibanez kind of kicking himself after fouling off that high changeup. Ibanez singled his last time to the plate. 1 on, 2 out. Rangers leading 1-0 here in the top of the 5th inning. Ibanez lines one to right field. Cruz going to have to play on a hop. Stopping at second is Jason Bay, and again, 2 out damage for the Mariners. They have done that now 2 of the last 3 innings. 2 aboard with 2 outs. Kendrys Morales is coming to the plate.
Well, Martin has pitched out of men in scoring position jams of various kinds in the last 3 innings, and he's going to have to do it for the 4th time in a row. In the 3rd inning, it was 1st and 3rd in 2 outs. That's when Morales hit that line shot that almost ripped Elvis's glove off for the 3rd out. And he's going to have to get Morales right here again. This time 1st and 2nd.
Really need to focus on keeping the ball down to Morales as a right-handed hitter in particular. He is anything up above belt high, he just crushes.
I hit that pitch the other day. It was up top of the strike zone and outside, and he hit that ball into right field.
Now, he's just a flat good hitter on top of that. But one thing you have to make sure, keep the ball down and take your chances there. Mike Maddox, I'm sure, went out and reminded Martin Perez what the scouting report was, what the game plan was facing these guys. Morales tonight has walked and hit that line drive that Tom was telling you about. He takes low for ball one.
You know, this is something you didn't really have to worry about with the Mariners not too long ago, not being afraid of the middle of the lineup because they really didn't have that thump or that thunder in the middle of the lineup. Right. But now they do.
Makes it a whole different ball game for these Mariners. And you know, you've got the guys in the middle of the order swinging the bat well, all three of them now. Here's a line drive to left. Murphy toward the line, reaches up, makes the catch, and that'll do it. Morales again a hard out, and again the Mariners strand a couple on 2 base hits. Halfway through the ball game, Rangers 1, Mariners nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. On a VIP flyaway experience with your home team in LA. Register at MetroPCS, or at participating locations for your chance to win. Well, just so you don't think that the three of us are the only ones with the poppies, how about our whole group up here?
We've got Allie, Bob, Larry, and John. Just some of the people that do their best to make us look good up here in the booth. Thank you, guys. As hard as they try, sometimes it just doesn't work.
When you don't.
Sometimes they hang that curveball.
Yeah. Best intentions. Hopefully they have a little more to work with.
Yeah, sometimes they just don't have a lot to work with.
Yeah. Berkman down in the count. Lance at 0-2 right now. He's leading off the bottom of the 5th inning. Berkman grounded out to the right side, his first time up. Rangers a run on just 2 hits against Iwakuma. They have that 1-0 lead as Martin Perez has been able to employ the smoke and mirrors a little bit to work out of some problems.
Well, he's working out of jams. 4 straight innings. 1, 2, 3 first inning, but 4 jams after that. Good thing is it's still 1-0.
Yep. Iwakuma's 1-2 offering. Just off the outside corner. That pretty good splitter. It's 2-2. A member of America's finest. Berkman grounds one to the right side with Franklin playing deep in shallow right field. Able to handle that. That is out number 1. Mitch Moreland coming up. Time for a Mazda game break with Dana Larson. Dana? All right, Dana, thank you. Yeah, all of a sudden, Motown is Max Scherzer town, not Justin Verlander. That's a pretty significant difference. When you know the Tigers that Verlander's going to get it going again. If they have both of those guys, they might be odds-on favorite in any kind of short series.
I just can't see 13-0. How do you go 13-0?
I don't have any idea. I've read about things like that, but I wouldn't know how to go about it. Moreland 0 for 1, a ground ball to second. First time up, takes outside. 2 balls, no strikes. You know one thing, there have been ballparks full of sinkers when he's gone out there. If he's 13-0, there's not a worm alive in Comerica Park's infield. Gets people to beat that ball right into the ground. Another hard hit ball, but out in shallow right field again. But Franklin handles it. 2 up, 2 away. That's 8 straight now. Sent down at the hands of Hisashi Iwakuma and his defense.
Well, the Mariners have a young, solid defense. Brendan Ryan's playing shortstop today. He's a solid defender. No doubt about that. Brad Miller played there last night. Youngster that's getting his opportunity at the big league level. Seager has played excellent defense at third base against us pretty much every time we've seen him over there. Franklin looks like a really good defensive player.
Well, their infield overall is a very good defensive infield.
No doubt.
Smoke is pretty accomplished first baseman with the glove.
Yeah, he's stylish over there.
Chopper foul off the bat of Elvis Andrus. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Elvis tapped one right back to the mound his first time. And Iwakuma now on a pretty good roll of setting Rangers down in order. 8 straight. Iwakuma's allowed just the 2 hits. Last hit for the Rangers, Leonis Martin, a 1-out single in the 3rd. There's a base hit through the hole. Elvis got a pitch up a little bit and banged it to left.
Looked like a hanging slider. As a hitter, this is one you feel like you have to take advantage of.
And Elvis did just that.
Iwakuma's probably glad he threw that pitch to Elvis and gave up a single rather than Nelly Cruz, and he'd be still watching that thing go.
Well, an opportunity now for Elvis to try and get into scoring position. The stolen base. Leonis Martin 1 for 1 at the plate. And first ball swinging skies to left field. Ibanez coming on, makes the catch, and that'll do it. Mac, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. We will see you after the game on Rangers Live.
See you later.
1-0 Rangers as we head to the 6th inning here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington.
As we go to the top of the 6th against Seattle. Well, we've been talking about Americans helping Americans, like neighbors helping neighbors at the most difficult time. We've all been touched by the big tornado in Moore, Oklahoma. Well, Moore native Melissa Hodge wanted to do something to honor the memory of Sydney Angle. She designed a special helmet sticker for her daughter's softball team, and the Alvin Bayou Babes, they played in memory of Sydney all the way to the Texas State Tournament, and congratulations to them on that. And today, as we celebrate independence and continue pursuit of happiness, you can still help those needing assistance after natural disasters by going to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. Buzz?
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Kyle Seager starting things off against Martin Perez, and Perez drops the breaking ball over the outside corner for strike one. Seager 1 for 2, single to right, fly to right. Perez back to him, and a chopper hit foul outside first. Mike Brumley, the first base coach, getting out of the way of that one. And the count moves to no balls and 2 strikes.
I've told this story before about Mike Brumley. I was at a game at the University of Texas when he was playing shortstop for the University of Texas, and he picked up a ball in the on-deck circle around the batting cage during batting practice.
Ace hit to right.
Just can't get him out.
Nope.
That's one might have got a little too much of the plate. He picked up a ball around the batting circle and threw it out of the ballpark to straightaway left field. He had some kind of arm, boy. Well, I'm sure he's trying to throw this farther outside than number 1 or number 2 on 0-2. Instead of the 3 pitches, that was the best one to hit. Seager continues over the last couple of days to pound left-hand pitching.
7 hits now for the Seattle Mariners. Nobody out here in the 6th inning. Justin Smoke has one of those 7 hits. He doubled the left field his last time up. Pitch off the plate inside for ball 1. Get a little action starting out in the bullpen for the Rangers. Even though the pitch count not all that high, Jason Frazier starting to loosen. Where a pitch count can be a little deceiving. There's a comeback fastball that makes it 1-1. Smoke a double to left to strikeout tonight. Seager the runner at first. Rangers looking for that ground ball at an infielder. A little snap toss over the first. Outfield playing Smoke just about straight away. Maybe a step to right center for the center fielder Leonis Martin. Pretty good gap in left center. There's David Murphy shading a bit toward the line. 1-1 pitch. In the hole, Elvis can't get it in the dive, and it's through to left field. Stopping at second is Seager. Runners at first and second, nobody out. And another jam for Martin Perez. Well, folks, you can get a chance to come out to Rangers Ballpark tonight for the Independence Day fireworks. The post-game Friday fireworks show continues. That's a tradition you will see tomorrow night again. A spectacular fireworks show set to Texas music. You can reserve your upper reserve seat for only $15 when you purchase them at TexasRangers.com/specials using the coupon code fireworks. So back-to-back singles, 2 on, nobody out. Maddox out there to slow things down a little bit. To Martin Perez. Andy Chavez is the hitter, and I would imagine you see Chavez up there bunting at this stage of the game.
Well, Martin's given up a couple of balls that were hard hit for outs with men in scoring position. Here's a couple of ground balls that weren't all that hard hit that found holes to start a potential rally here in the 6th inning. Seager and Smoke just rolled a couple of ground balls through the infield.
Chavez stands in 0 for 1. He has walked and he has grounded out. Rangers expecting the bunt with Moreland and Beltre up at the corners. Chavez not bunting there. The breaking ball is low for ball 1. The Mariners trailing by a run. Eric Wedge is No, we're not gonna have Chavez bunt. We've got the bottom of the order coming up. We'll take our chances with Chavez. We got Seager at second, Smoke at first. 1-0 the count. Rip and a miss.
As you watch the third base coach give the signs, you might mention that the third base coach is Darren Brown. He's the nephew of the Oklahoma curveballer Jackie Brown. Used to pitch for the Rangers. Used to be my roommate, as a matter of fact. Jackie is in a hospital in Houston. He just had a lung transplant, and he's doing well. All the people that have asked about Jackie, happy to tell you that he's feeling well and doing well.
Potential double play to Kinsler, and he got throw it away, and now Moreland trying to recover, not in time to get Smoke. Kinsler was pinned up against Justin Smoke as Seager came around to score and couldn't get an accurate throwaway to try and complete the double play. So it's going to be a fielder's choice and an error on Kinsler to allow Seager to score the tying run. It's a 1-1 ball game.
Well, we saw this play last night. Ian is going to make the attempt to tag the runner and throw to first. The runner doesn't have to get out of the way. He can just run straight over Ian if he wanted to. He stops. He couldn't avoid the tag, but there was enough of a collision to where Ian was unable to make the throw back to first base to complete the double play.
Well, a tough break is Ron Washington now out to the mound, and he will take the ball from Martin Perez, who will depart in a 1-1 ball game. And Chavez at first, still his responsibility. So 5 2/3 innings of work for Martin Perez. He is gone. Jason Frazier coming on while he makes his way in. We'll take a timeout. Right back after this on Fox Sports Southwest.
In the top of the sixth after a pitching change. Well, 4th of July is usually a time for barbecue, pool parties, baseball, and fireworks. But for Ian Kinsler, it's been about work and baseball his entire life.
When you're in college and you're in summer ball, you're usually playing on a summer league team somewhere, and you get a chance to play, and it's usually a packed stadium, as big as the stadium could be. And then you get a chance to eat ice cream and watch fireworks and hang out and do whatever you like until late. So, the relationship with 4th of July and baseball it's a great one.
Rangers trying to win their 10th in the last 14. 4th of July's got some work to do, Buzz.
All right, Rick, on for the Rangers now. Jason Frazier, the right-hander, facing Henry Blanco. Andy Chavez, the runner at first, and the pitch way down and missed. It is 0-1.
Yeah, good numbers for Jason Frazier. 31st game for Jason. We're talking about that play at second base the other night. I think it was David Murphy on first, and he stopped in time They couldn't tag him, and they only got one out. That time Justin Smoak tried to stop, didn't stop in time. Ian was able to make the tag and potentially had the opportunity to then throw to first base for the double play, but the collision with Smoak threw him offline, and that led to the flip throw going past the first baseman. Good try. I think if he went to second with a flip to Elvis, they wouldn't have had time to get Chavez, who runs very well.
1-1 pitch is low and outside. Here's the play you're talking about.
I think if Ian flipped it back to Elvis, there's no way they get Chavez. So he went for the one way he thought he could get the double play. Unfortunately, when he banged in to Justin Smoak, the throw went a little bit offline. So if he'd gone to second, it would have been first and third and one out anyway, I think. And potentially had the opportunity to get a double play if he didn't collide quite so hard with Smoak.
2-1. The count to Blanco. Now 2-2. Foul tip. Got a pretty good piece of A.J. Brzezinski. Walk it off behind home plate a little bit. And that exposed lower left arm.
Yeah, the protection did do a whole lot to help A.J. right there. It's like getting hit by a pitch.
So 2-2 to Blanco. Blanco twice has grounded to short, once resulting in a double play. Rangers would not mind that at all. A third time right here. Chavez back with a dive. Jason Frazier on in relief of Martin Perez, who worked 5 1/3, allowed 8 hits and 1 run so far. Chavez his responsibility. And that's out of play to the right side. Fans, a quick reminder: played Lotto Texas, I should say, with extra. Your chance to win Texas-sized jackpots. It's Texas' original jackpot game, and it's available at your favorite lottery retailer. Two balls, 2 strikes. Blanco waiting. Frazier okays the sign. He will again drive Chavez back with a throw. Jason, the 35-year-old Chicagoland native. Comes set again. And the 2-2 pitch got him swinging. So Blanco down on strikes. 2 away, and Brendan Ryan will be the hitter.
Jason's pitched 21 2/3 innings. He's now struck out 25 batters, more than a strikeout per inning. Got his ERA below 3.
Brendan Ryan tonight has tapped back to the box and struck out. Frazier to the plate. And the first pitch is high for ball 1. Ryan, a 197 hitter. 2 outs. Chavez the runner at first. Very good speed for Indy. 1-1 the count. Jason Frazier, a pretty good list of at-bats for most of the Mariner hitters. Brendan Ryan just 2 out of 7 against Frazier in his career. There goes Chavez. The pitch is foul back. We'll come back and try it again in a ball and 2 strikes. Chavez had second base stolen. He had a big jump. Well, the count is 1-2. Frazier trying to shut down this 6th inning. in this tie ball game now. And he steps off the back of the pitching rubber and says to AJ, yeah, wasn't quite ready yet. A ball and 2 strikes. Check over the shoulder of Chavez. The pitch is low and outside. Now 2-2. Tenth game that Brendan Ryan has played against the Rangers this year. And he has hit some 40 points above his season average against the Rangers. A couple of big doubles with 2 runs driven in. Frazier again ready. And again, he drives Andy Chavez back with a throw. Rangers trying to snap the 2-game losing streak that they have against these Mariners and overall. Also trying to keep pace with the Oakland Athletics. Check swing roller to third, charging Beltre. Throw on the money, and that'll do it. The tying run comes across, a run on 2 hits and an error, and 1 left. Bottom of the 6th, 1-1 the score. Tonight's jackpot is worth $2,500 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Glenda Vandegrift from Dallas. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Glenda Vandegrift from Dallas will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Now a 1-1 ball game now as the Mariners come back with a run in the 6th to tie it. Top of the Ranger order, Ian Kinsler facing Hisashi Iwakuma. And the first pitch is just outside for ball 1. Kinsler twice has skied to center. Last time up, he had a rocket just to the right field side of straightaway center that Andy Chavez ran down. 1-0 pitch. Off speed and low. It's 2-0. A reminder that Ian Kinsler really has enjoyed hitting against Iwakuma. Came into the game 6 for 12 against the Mariner right-hander. 3 of those 6 home runs. Check swing, and he went around. It's 2-1. Iwakuma in a hitter's count, not going with the fastball to Kinsler. Rangers just 3 hits tonight. One of those 3, though, Adrian Beltre's leadoff home run in the 2nd. Hard hit, but just foul down the left side. And the count evens at 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're in that 4th of July hat that the Rangers are featuring. Got him swinging. Oh, a good splitter. That is out number 1, David Murphy, coming up. And let's say hello to Jim Knox again, Jim.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Special guest here, Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin Forrest on hand with the United States Air Force, and big happenings for you guys before the game. What happened?
Oh, it was an amazing day. We had over 150 new young men and women join the Air Force, and they took the oath of enlistment. In the next 2 to 6 months, they'll be heading off to basic military training and serving their country.
150 on hand.
Yes. Yes, in fact, I think the final tally was 168, so more than we even expected.
Well, that is great. Great. Congratulations, and thank you for everything you guys do. Enjoy the rest of the game. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you. Yeah, that's kind of a neat thing to watch. Folks taking the oath and becoming part of the military. Change up is low to David Murphy. The count is 1 ball and 1 strike. Murph, a fly ball to center and a ground out to second base. 0 for 2 tonight. Ron Washington changing the lineup up just a little bit. Murphy into that number 2 slot, and Elvis Andrus down to the number 8 spot in the order. Pitch is a delayed call. Strike. It is 1-2.
One of those borderline pitches that generally does not go David's way.
Henry Blanco flashed the signs out. The 1-2 delivery. There's that splitter that dove down low, and it's 2-2.
That's been a tough pitch for him tonight. Mentioned that Iwakuma had given up 4 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts. He probably didn't pitch in those starts like he's throwing the ball tonight.
The 2-2. Murphy, another shot to center field. Chavez going back at the edge of the warning track, makes the catch. That's twice now that Murphy has sent Chavez back to the edge of the cinders. And twice, Chavez has made the play. 2 gone for Nelson Cruz.
Yeah, the first one was a little bit too high. That one might have been a little bit too low. If he hits another one in between, it'll probably be up on the grass.
A 2 up, 2 away. Nelson Cruz 0 for 2 tonight. Nelly a strikeout and a line drive to second. Iwakuma to the plate. A rip and a miss. It's 0-1. Cruz now 4 out of 16 against Iwakuma. He finds himself down in the count. No balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, he's got the kind of splitter. He can throw it one right after the other.
Yeah.
And if he keeps it down, you can know it's coming. And if you swing at it, probably not going to do a whole lot with it.
Yeah, it becomes like a good sinker.
Yeah, it's like an 87-mile-an-hour super sinker.
Yeah. The 0-2 to Cruz. High in the air, that will twist out a play down the right side. It remains no balls, 2 strikes. Iwakuma in his 6th full inning of work tonight, still under 80 pitches. He has really done a good job against the Rangers of keeping the pitch count down and manageable. Hard hit off the corner of the mound. It deflects over to Franklin, who throws out Cruz. Nelly's hit the ball hard a couple of times, but nothing to show for it. We have finished 6 in Arlington. Rangers 1, Mariners 1. Fox Sports Southwest. Mariners a run on 8 hits. And the Rangers a run on 3 hits. Adrian Beltre plating the only run of the game for the Rangers, his 15th home run of the year, leading off the second inning. Kyle Seager, meanwhile, scored the unearned run for the Mariners in the 6th inning. Well, we are going to inning number 7. Jason Frazier back to the hill, and he will face the top of the order for Seattle. That's Jason Bay to start things off. Bay is 1 for 3 tonight with a single. Frazier drops a breaking ball in, strike 1. Martin Perez worked the first 5 1/3, allowed the 1 unearned run on 8 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Frazier came on to get a strikeout and a ground out to close out the 6th inning with no further damage. 1-1 pitch. Rolled out to short. Elvis has it. That is out number 1. Well, folks, we're serious about this. Now, time is running out to vote for the 2013 Rangers All-Star selections. You can help send your favorite Texas Rangers to the All-Star game by voting up to 35 times, but you got to hurry and go to TexasRangers.com to do it. Fans who vote the maximum number of times and select the Rangers as their favorite or second favorite team will receive a 50% off ticket offer. Voting ends tonight at 10:59 p.m. Central. Jason Frazier finished for the evening as Ron Washington has made the call out to the bullpen. We will have our 3rd Ranger pitcher of the night coming in. Neil Kotz will be next. We'll be right back to tell you about him after this. Jose Altuve and the Astros come in here to Rangers Ballpark in Arlington to take on Adrian Beltre and your Rangers. Baseball Night in America begins Saturday at 5:30 p.m., starting with the MLB All-Star Game Selection Show. Now, Neil Kotz, the 33-year-old left-hander, on now to take over on the hill. Nick Franklin, the switch hitter, the first batter that he faces. And numbers for Neil Kotz, outstanding.
Yeah, we keep talking about it. 1 earned run in 23 2/3 innings. 28 strikeouts in that amount of innings.
Franklin pops one up down the right side. That will reach the 7th row as Mitch Moreland over to take a look. 1 ball and 1 strike to Franklin. Kotz is just about as good as you can possibly be, and he has been with the ball club since the 21st of May. Threw him right into the fire. Boy, he has really gone out and done a job. Picked right up where he left off at AAA, handling left-handers and virtually everybody. This one popped foul. That will reach the seats over the Ranger dugout. The count moves to 1-2. capacity crowd on hand here tonight, and they are hoping for a big Ranger win. A 1-1 ball game, and a lot of fireworks due after the ball game. Hope all of you are enjoying a very safe and happy 4th of July, wherever you may be. Tapper foul. Franklin staying alive, and a ball and 2 strikes. Nick Franklin, as you can see, a .288 hitter. Kotz back to the plate. Going to be a tough play for Kotz. Speedy Franklin is going to beat that out. A nice play by Mitch Moreland to prevent that ball from going down the right field line. So it's an infield hit for Franklin, his second such base hit tonight.
The second ball he's dribbled down the third baseline. First one took that crazy hop on Beltre. This one like a perfect bunt. You're better off hanging on to that ball. That almost went down the right field line. And in this kind of a game, 1-1 game late in the game, you don't want to give any extra bases.
Well, Franklin aboard with 1 out. Raul Ibanez, who has singled each of the last 2 times he has come to the plate, stands in there. Ibanez now at .251. And I say that with a little bit of amazement. 20 home runs and throwing in .251 for Ibanez, and well, you just don't expect a guy that's 41 years old and playing every day to be able to put up numbers like that, but he's done it. He has shown that he's some kind of player. A 10-game hitting streak now for Ibanez. Rip and a miss against Kotz. It's 0-2. Ibanez 14 for 40 during his 10-game hitting streak. Kotz a check of first. The 0-2 is coming. Got him on the fist with a fastball, and still no balls and 2 strikes. Ibanez 1 for 8 in his career against Neil Kotz. Left-hander okays the sign, a check of Franklin. He follows up that check with a toss over there to drive him back. Ranger infield pulled around to the right for the left-handed hitting Ibanez. See Elvis Andrus just a few steps to the shortstop side of second. Couldn't get Ibanez to go quite that high up the ladder. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
One thing Neil has definitely shown is he can pitch back-to-back days. He can pitch frequently, and generally he comes in with consistent stuff. You really don't see him on a bad day. Might not have his perfect command sometimes, but the velocity's there, the aggressiveness is there, the cutter is there.
He's only had 2 games where he's given up a single run, and one of those times was an unearned run. Blowing outside, 2-2. He couldn't get Ibanez to go after the breaking ball. He hasn't even given up an unearned run since the middle of June, the 13th of June, as a matter of fact. And he has been as consistent as you could possibly be. Big pitch coming here to Ibanez. The check of Franklin at first, and the 2-2. High and deep to right field. The ballpark will not hold that one. Ibanez in the upper deck, and the Mariners lead 3-1.
Well, to me, that just tells me how hot Ibanez has been. Kotz has given up 1 earned run, 2 runs the whole season, and just gives up a 2-run home run right there to Ibanez. He is some kind of hot. He is swinging it. 3 hits tonight. Over the last 9 games, he's hit something like 7 home runs. 41 years old, but man, that bat doesn't look like a 41-year-old. That looks like a quick bat of a 25-year-old.
Kendrys Morales, who went back-to-back here on Tuesday night with Ibanez. Going after that first pitch like he was trying to make it another back-to-back evening. So 3 runs on 10 hits now. Ibanez with his 21st home run of the year. And Morales a check swing, the pitch high and away. Morales 0 for 2, but he has stung the ball the last 2 times up. He's lined to short, lined to left. And Cox missing high and away. It's 2-1. Well, the Rangers have to find some answer for their offensive woes. Better figuring out something here quickly. They have 3 innings to do it against the Mariners. That's out of play to the right. And the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cox back to the plate. 3-2. Morales, the number 4 hitter, trying to get aboard to extend this inning in the positive fashion. He'll be followed by Kyle Seager, the third baseman. Payoff pitch coming. Outside, ball 4. Morales has walked for the 2nd time, and now all 3 hitters that Cox has faced tonight have reached base.
You're trying to backdoor that slider, and tell you what, that's a strike to David Murphy on the other side of the plate about 95% of the time.
Mike Maddox out there to just give Neil Cox a little bit of breathing room. Then you get wrapped up in things going poorly for you, and sometimes your focus gets a little bit out of whack. Josh Lindblom, the right-hander, starting to loosen again in the Ranger bullpen out there in right center field. Now 1 on, 1 out. A couple of runs across here in the 7th inning. Kyle Seager is 2 for 3 tonight at the plate. Pair of singles. Also scored the tying run at the time last inning. Seager hitting at an even 280 as Cox works to him. Strike on the inside corner. Got set. And the 0-1. Seager just a couple of at-bats against Neil Cox. He's 1 for 2. Left-hander's next pitch. And that's fouled away. A ball and 2 strikes now. Cox, who worked a very good inning last night, struck out 2 of the 3 men he faced. One of them was Raul Ibanez, but not tonight. Ibanez got the pitch up and drove it right on out of here. Breaking ball is wide. It's 2-2. Cox, a long look in. Brzezinski flashing the signs out. Now the left-hander's ready. The 2-2. That ball's hammered down the line to right. If it's fair, it's gone, and it hooks. Foul.
The Ranger lefties are getting balls up and on the inside part of the plate to the Mariner lefties. And it's allowing them to have some pretty good swings right near the center square.
We'll try that 2-2 pitch again. It's on the way. Popped up, third base side. That will be back into the seats about 3 rows over the Mariner dugout. The Seager back in. He is really battling. Cott sets. And the ball lined to center field on his horse. Leonis Martin can't get there. It's one hop off the wall. And now the stop sign put up at third for Kendrys Morales. But into second with a line shot double is Kyle Seager. Runners at second and third with one out, and Justin Smoke coming up.
Seager got another pitch right in the center square. Generally, you don't see 4 pitches out of 7 from Neal right down the middle of the plate. But that's what happened in that at bat. And Seager continues to pound Ranger pitching. Last 2 days, 3 hits last night, 3 more tonight.
Well, that's going to do it for Neil Kotz. Left-hander had a tough evening. He will leave having. Are wearing for this 4th of July, and you can get yours at the Rangers gift shop or online at TexasRangers.com. And the proceeds benefit the welcome back of the veterans. 100% of the proceeds will benefit welcome back veterans, and be part of that great organization that the Rangers have backed and Major League Baseball has backed. WelcomeBackVeterans.org to be specific. Again, you can go online if you want to. If you're out to the ballpark, you can buy your Stars and Stripes cap and show your Ranger pride along with helping the Welcome Back veterans.
Josh Lindblom in to pitch for the Rangers. He's been called up a couple of times to start, this time to bolster the bullpen. Pitched a couple innings the other night. Those are his numbers on the season. Tough situation right here. 1 out, second and third. Rangers down by 2. Can't afford to give up any more runs. See if Josh can pitch out of this.
Justin Smoke, the hitter, the Ranger infield, all the way in now. The first pitch to Smoke, who's turned around to hit from the left side, is outside for ball 1. Smoke tonight, 2 for 3. He has singled, doubled, and struck out. And Kendrys Morales, the runner at third. Kyle Seager out at second. Lindblom from the stretch. And Smoke pops one foul behind home plate. That will reach the seats. It's a ball and a strike.
Well, Smoke's been up almost 200 times. He's only driven in 13 runs. One of his problems, his big problem, has been he's hit somewhere around 140 with men in scoring position. Had a couple of opportunities so far in the series in these situations. Hasn't cashed in yet.
Lindblom, a check of the runners. The 1-1 pitch. High and tight. Josh came on here on Tuesday night, worked 2 innings and Gave up just one hit, had 3 strikeouts in his relief role as he finished off that ball game. Rangers defeated in the first game of this series 9-2. Tonight trying to keep it at a manageable 3-1 deficit. The 2-1 pitch coming to Smoke. And after a hanger up there and couldn't get it. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. That was one of those hangers that was too high.
Yep.
Smoke earlier in the ball game, back in the second, was up in a similar situation and struck out that time. And just does get a piece of it here. Smoke in the second was up with runners at first and third and nobody out. And at that time, Martin Perez got him to go down swinging. Now with second and third and 1 out. Chance to really do some damage against the Rangers. Lindblom trying to prevent that. Josh ready. And again the 2-2. Popped up. Foul territory. Third base side. Beltre over at the railing, but it's back 6 rows. And we'll come back and try it again. Breeze is picked up, blowing in from center field. So any ball in the area where that last pop foul was will be blown back into the stands. Didn't have much of a breeze to start off with, but it's starting to pick up to its summer intensity. Humidity's a little bit higher.
Temperature's still pretty mild, 83 degrees.
Ricky ball in the dirt. Pierzynski can't find it. Now he locates it, and Morales, not the fastest of runners. He didn't want to take a chance. The count has gone full. AJ couldn't find it. It came up and hit him in the shin guard and bounced off to his left very quickly. I had no idea where that ball was for a second. So 3-2, you do have first base open. Andy Chavez, another left-hand hitter, is on deck. Lindblom sets the payoff pitch. Called strike 3. Oh, Smoke got caught looking for an off-speed delivery. He had done it a couple of times and gotten him and gotten base hits. That time, no.
Well, definitely a strike. The way he's jumping off the plate, you would think it was inside. It's right down the middle of the plate, according to our Fox tracks.
Well, Smoke striking out for the second time in a man on third, less than 2 out situation. And now with Chavez up, a left-handed hitter, Henry Blanco, a right-handed hitter on deck. They will go ahead and intentionally pass Andy Chavez. And I wonder, we'll have to go back through the records. Andy Chavez certainly couldn't have had many intentional walks issued to him over the course of his career. I'll have to look that up quickly for you. Just, ball 3 is on the way. And in his stats, they don't have intentional walks for Chavez, so I can't tell you. But since he doesn't walk very much anyway, it's a pretty good bet that he hadn't had many intentional passes. We understand that's his 12th career intentional walk. More than I would have thought. So base is full now. Henry Blanco is the hitter. Blanco tonight has grounded out twice and struck out. Lindblom, a check of the runners, and the first pitch. Line to center field. Leonis Martin to his right. And there to capture it, and that will do it. But the Mariners come up with a couple of runs. They had 3 hits and strand 3. Stretch time at the ballpark. It is 3-1 Seattle, and now please join Chuck Morgan as he asks the fans to to stand and honor America with God Bless America.
As part of tonight's God Bless America, members of the Shepherd Air Force Base Honor Guard are presenting an American flag. Following tonight's game, this flag will be framed and presented to a military member honored as part of the People Tribute for Heroes ceremony on the field before the All-Star Game on July 16th in New York. And now we invite you to join in singing God Bless America with Tech Sergeant Lane McCrae of the 531st Air Force Band.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
Stretch, Rangers down 3-1 to Seattle. Well, moments ago you heard it, God Bless America, nothing like it. And that Texas tradition had a special flag that was part of that ceremony. The honor guard folded it. It will be framed. And the next time we see that flag will be at the All-Star Game at Citi Field in New York on July 16th. Just before the Midsummer Classic on Fox, Rangers All-Star members will present the flag to a military member being honored as part of the People for Heroes ceremony before the All-Star Game. Tribute for Heroes is a national initiative from Major League Baseball and People magazine that recognizes veterans and active service members for their outstanding service. We'll look forward to that pregame ceremony at the All-Star Game to see that flag and who gets it at that day. Buzz?
All right, Rick, thank you. Adrian Beltre leading things off here in the Ranger seventh inning. Texas now down 3-1. Iwakuma back to the plate, and Beltre chops one foul down the third base side. It is 1-1 to Adrian. Beltre, Brzezinski, and Berkman, the first three to do the swinging against Hisaki Iwakuma. There, the right-handers allowed just 3 hits. Beltre's home run, the only one doing damage tonight against him. It's this one well to center field. Going back to Chavez. At the wall, and goodbye! Number 2 for Beltre. It's now a 3-2 Mariner lead.
Well, Iwakuma's been pitching great, but that's the 7th home run he's given up in the last 3 games. Fortunately for him, he doesn't walk anybody, doesn't give up a lot of hits, and the 2 today were solo shots. Rangers hit 2 yesterday, both solo shots. David Murphy come close a couple of times to the grass out in center field. Adrian got the grass that time.
Well, Beltre with his 16th home run of the year. Well, 3-2 now, and A.J. Przinsky lines one to right center field. That's in for a hit. Up the alley, Przinsky going for 2 and puts the brakes on. Well, Bay got to it pretty quickly, and A.J. had a big turn and had to slam on the left foot to get himself stopped.
Well, that was a center square shot for Adrian. Iwakuma looks now. I think he had a pretty good idea where it was going to end up, though. Golden retriever out there.
Carl Willis, the pitching coach, going out along with the interpreter, Masashi Iwakuma. Here's the numbers that Tom was telling you about. 7 home runs in the last 3 starts. Willis out there to have his thoughts interpreted for Iwakuma. Make sure there's nothing lost in translation. Rangers with back-to-back hits for the first time tonight against Iwakuma. The leadoff home run for Beltre, and then A.J. Przinsky driving in to right center. Well, the Rangers have the tying run on with nobody out. Lance Berkman is going to be the hitter. And this crowd who didn't have a whole lot to cheer about between Beltre home runs, gotten back to life.
Well, you can see how big Josh Lindblom's relief appearance was, 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. Pitched out of that jam to keep it a 3-1 game. A little bit easier to come back.
First pitch to Berkman is chopped down foul. It is 0-1. Lance tonight has grounded out to the right side a couple of times. Berkman missed 4 games until last night with that sore right knee. Twisted it coming off the plane from New York the other night. 0-1 the count to it. Przinsky a very modest lead at first. And the pitch low and outside. There's that splitter again. 1-1. Iwakuma, a pretty modest pitch count. 85 is all, and 54 of those have been for strikes. Right-hander coming back to the plate. That is low and outside. 2-1. Eric Wedge call and make sure that the bullpen is ready down there if needed.
Thought Eric was growing a beard. Shaved it. Must not be superstitious.
And the next pitch is outside. 3-1 to Berkman. Well, you know Lance is going to give you a quality at bat. Charlie Furbush, the left-hander that we saw last night, is up and loosening. And as we get toward the bottom of the Ranger order, a lot of left-handed hitters are coming up. Although with Elvis down there at the bottom tonight, Wash has been able to break up the left-handers a bit.
Not a bad idea.
No. The 3-1 pitch coming to Berkman. Outside, ball 4, and there are 2 aboard with nobody out. And Mitch Moreland coming up. Now with Moreland coming to the plate, Eric Wedge coming out to the mound. And that is going to do it for Iwakuma. So Masashi Iwakuma will leave in favor of Charlie Furbush. Iwakuma has given up 2 runs, but he is leaving with 2 runners aboard. They are going to be his responsibility. So we'll take a timeout here at Rangers Ballpark. It's a 3-2 Seattle lead. We'll be right back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. In the top of the seventh. Here in the bottom of the seventh, they've had a Beltre home run, a Pierzynski single, a Berkman walk, and now Charlie Furbish has come on to take over on the mound.
Charlie Furbish pitched the other night. Tough on lefties. Got a 91 to 94 mile an hour fastball and that sweeping slurve that he throws that's very difficult on left-hand hitters. He struck out 45 in 31 innings. Opponent's batting average 175.
Well, Furbish on to face Mitch Moreland. You have A.J. Pierzynski, the runner at second base. Berkman walked, and he has been pinch run for by Angel Beltre. Well, Beltre with his great wheels over at first. He's carrying the go-ahead run here in the seventh inning. Moreland at the plate, 0 for 2, a couple of ground balls to second. Moreland faced Furbish last night and lined to second. No bunt, and Mitch fouls back the first pitch. It's 0-1. Talking about Moreland and what he has done against left-handed pitching. He has hit nearly 360 against left-handers in starting the year, 1 for 19. And even though the runners in scoring position average not where Mitch would want it, that is on the rise. 0-1 the count. Here's that sweeping breaking ball that moves outside. It's 1-1. Nice
play by Blanco behind the plate. Scooped that ball in his glove. That would have been a thing of beauty if that went right through his legs.
Pierzynski, the tying run at second. And Angel Beltre over at first, carrying the go-ahead run. 1 ball, 1 strike. The big breaking ball that started right at Moreland and came over to the inside corner. It's 1-2. And Farquhar, the right-hander, now loosening in support of Charlie Furbish. Furbish set, the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball is yanked foul off the screen in front of the Ranger dugout. Got the Railbirds off there for a moment, but they're back up there. Oh, look out, guys. Nelly Cruz wasn't
too worried about it.
No. Well, he had Beltre in front of him. There was a guy with whose hands I was going to trust to be his. Again, the 1-2 pitch will be coming. Up the middle, headed towards center. It's in for a base hit. Pierzynski around third will score. Into third, Angel Beltre. Mitch Moreland against the left-hander again. Ties this ball game at 3 with a base hit.
The ball is due to start rolling in the Rangers' favor, and that little roller did. It was exactly halfway between the shortstop and the second baseman. It found a hole. The pinch runner, Angel Beltre, is able to go all the way to third. Now you've got the go-ahead run at third base, first and third, and nobody out.
Well, Mitch Moreland has not had a great time since coming back off the disabled list. Not a bigger hit as we see in the last few games from anybody. Well, Mitch with the RBI. It's a 3-3 game. Here's Elvis with the infield pulled in. And he pops one foul that will reach the seats on the first base side. It is 0-1. Elvis 1 for 2 tonight. Grounded back to the mound in the third. In the fifth, he singled to left field. Got Angel Beltre at third. Mitch Moreland at first. There's Angel, the pitch runner. Burbush ready. The 0-1 pitch instead is a toss to first. And Moreland back. And the infield having to come all the way in because of the speed of Angel Beltre. Can't afford to play back even as quick as this infield is, according to some of the Seattle Mariners. Still have to play in because of the speed of Beltre. Off the end of the bat, that is cued foul, and the count goes to 0-2 to Elvis.
A left-hand hitter coming up next, so big at bat for Elvis right here. Burbush very tough on lefties. For Elvis, you got to make some contact right here. Concentrate. Line the ball to the outfield. There's 300-foot line drive somewhere.
Beltre and Moreland at the corners. 0-2 to Andrews. Line drive, left field. Comes Ibanez. He makes the catch. Beltre tagging. Here comes the throw. The side, he's safe. A sacrifice line drive by Elvis Andrews, and the Rangers lead 4-3.
Well, that was a very judicious pinch runner right there. Questionable with Lance's knees whether he could have gone to third base on that ground ball. And if he did, he wouldn't have beaten Ibanez's throw to the plate. So that's where having a speed guy like Beltre on the bench to use late in the game for a pinch runner really came in handy. That was a strong throw by Ibanez.
Angel Beltre sliding in with the go-ahead run. The Rangers back on top now. It is 4-3. And here's Leonis Martin with Moreland at first.
Well, it's been a long time since the Rangers put a rally together like this to score multiple runs. Fourth straight game that Iwakuma has given up 4 earned runs.
And all 3 runs in this inning are charged to him. They're all earned.
The way he mowed down the Rangers in the 6th inning, they'd only had 3 hits, was looking a little bleak.
Wave and a miss, big breaking ball. Leonis down on the count now 0-2.
That's why he can be so tough on a left-hand hitter. Important for Elvis to get the job done right there. He sure did. With a little luck, it would have been a base hit. He hit the ball hard, kind of a sinking line drive, but Ibanez was able to make the play on it.
No balls, 2 strikes to Martin. Double play ground ball, and tagging knocks the ball loose, and everybody's going to be safe. Moreland around to third. Franklin tried to tag him with the glove, and the ball did not have it secured with his bare hand, and Moreland just simply knocked it out of the glove.
Well, that's the risk when you go to make that play. If you're the runner, you can just go as hard as you want into the second baseman. You don't have to slow down. You don't have to let them tag you. It's just like breaking up a double play. And Moreland's about 240 pounds, and he just knocks the ball right straight out of Franklin's glove.
Well, that's going to do it for Charlie Furbush. After this play, jarred the ball from Franklin and jarred Furbush out of the game. Now the Rangers threatening to score more. They have runners at first and third, one out. Pitching change underway once again. We'll be back to Rangers Ballpark in Arlington with the Rangers on top of the Mariners. Is brought to you by the all-new Mazda 6. When you change everything, you change everything. Well, a lot's changed here. That would be the Rangers' fortunes. They have had things go right here in the seventh inning, and they have taken a 4-3 lead. Mitch Moreland at third, and Leonis Martin at first. Still just one out. And Ian Kinsler now to face Danny Farquhar.
Well, Farquhar's numbers, you look at the numbers, it doesn't add up to a 6.05 ERA. Less hits than innings pitched, 28 strikeouts in 19 innings. Not a lot of walks, 254 opponent's batting average. Opponents must have bunched together some hits and some runs against him. Because for the most part, his numbers look pretty good.
25-year-old right-hander fires a strike at the knees to Ian Kinsler.
Important run right there. Get the insurance run. Nice to score 3 and take the lead. The opportunity has presented itself with that error to pick up another one right here.
Again, the infield pulled all the way in with Moreland at third this time. Off the end of the bat towards center. Late jump from Chavez. He can't get there. It's down for a hit. In to score is Moreland. Around the third, Leonis Martin, and the Rangers lead 5-3.
Well, you know, over the last week or 10 days, there's been a lot of games where the Rangers have hit the ball hard. Haven't scored a lot of runs, not much to show for it. And it's nice to see that things are starting to even up a little bit here in the seventh inning. A couple of ground balls. One found a hole, an error on the other. Now a blooper to center field brings in another. Martin with aggressive base running goes to third. The Rangers in position with David Murphy up to pick up another one.
Well, Ian Kinsler with the RBI, his 31st of the year. Here's David Murphy, who was hit in tough luck tonight. 0 for 3, and he shoots one to first. Smoke will step on the bag. Now they got Kinsler in a rundown. Here comes the play to the plate. The slide, he's out. Leonis Martin trying to come down the line. Did it at the right time. Just have to credit Seattle with very good defensive execution. So that'll do it for the Rangers. But they score 4 times. And you'll get a look at how it ended with Justin Smoke making the throw down to the shortstop, Ryan, and then the good throw to the plate to get Leonis Martin. But the Rangers take the lead. We go to the 8th inning.
All the way in to see his family on this great 4th of July. He's from Slidell, Texas. Congratulations, Corporal Carnes. Here's the bag. Congratulations. Thank you for everything that you do, and happy 4th of July. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I say happy 4th of July to everyone in the stands, and go Rangers.
There we go. All right. Congratulations, Buzz.
All right, Jim, thank you. Now, as we head to the 8th inning, Tanner Shepard has come on to take on the Mariners, and he's facing Brad Miller, who is pinch hitting for Brendan Ryan.
Yeah, Tanner's numbers on the season, excellent numbers. 41st game for him. He's sure pitched frequently. He's on pace to have 75 or 80 appearances this year.
Backhanded by Elvis, down to a knee, back up, low throw, and it gets by Moreland and into the dugout. Well, that is going to allow the extra base to Brad Miller. Elvis came up firing, but the throw a little bit low, and it looked like the ball didn't come up for Mitch. It stayed down and hugged around, got by it. Well, that's going to go as an infield single and a throwing error for Elvis. Second Ranger error of the game. And Shepard's now with one on and nobody out, dealing to Dustin Ackley, who's coming on as a pinch hitter for Jason Bay. And takes strike one. Ackley, a center fielder now. He would originally come up as a second baseman. 198 the average, a home run and 10 driven in. Ackley started the first 2 games in center field of this series. Rip and a miss, and it's 0-2.
That was nice play by Seattle to end the Rangers inning. Be able to get that play at the plate. Rangers almost snuck in another run. A heads-up play and a good throw by Frank. I guess that was Ryan that made that throw home.
And swinging.
That's some heat right there. High heat. Back-to-back 96-mile-an-hour fastballs.
So one away, and now Nick Franklin, the switch-hitting second baseman, will step in. Franklin 2 for 4 with a pair of infield singles, and Shepard misses outside for ball 1. Miller at second, 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning. Rangers leading 5-3. Shepard's a check of second. Now time called. Mentioned that Tanner struggled a little bit the last couple of times out, and certainly the workload has something to do with it, but Tanner felt his mechanics were a little bit off too. Well high and outside. And the count is 2 balls and no strikes. That's something we didn't see Tanner Shepard feature in the first 35 outings or so. That fastball that just completely gets away from him. Lately, although it's been a bit of a problem for him to get the ball down a little bit. Right down there is a good spot. 2-1. Or Shepard's really in uncharted territory for himself as a relief pitcher. In the past, he has worked relief. He has worked as a starter in the minor leagues, and the frequency is something he's never experienced before. There's a rip and a miss on a tailing fastball at 95.
Have to be able to throw that pitch every time. Watch that ball. Looks like it hit something and kicked to the right. Got about 2/3 of the way to the plate and just went straight to the right.
Imagine somebody
be able to bottle that thing up.
Yeah. Imagine somebody throwing you a ball from first base and trying to hit it. It's about the same angle. 2-2. Got him swinging. Back-to-back punch-outs. And nothing fancy about that. 2 gone.
96 miles an hour. Here it is. They struck out the young guys with 96-mile-an-hour heat, but better be careful to the old guy right here. He's swinging like a young guy. And Banez swinging the bat like he did 7 or 8 years ago right now.
You can keep it away from him. I think that would be the wise thing to do when a home run can tie the game.
Absolutely. That one tailing away at 95 miles an hour sure looks good.
Here's a base hit to center. That's going to score a run. Around third is Miller. He will score. It's a 5-4 game as Ibanez got a pitch right down the middle. A fastball that he has ripped right up the middle of the diamond, and Tanner Shepard's not able to locate that first pitch, and Ibanez made him pay.
4 straight hits for Ibanez. Now he's trying to throw him in, and the ball tails, but right back to the middle of the plate.
I'm not sure the thought was very good. Execution wasn't as good as Tanner would have liked, but the thought of trying to throw a guy like that inside on the first pitch when a home run can tie the game, I don't agree with.
Yeah, not the way he's swinging the bat right now.
But now you've got to deal with Kendrys Morales as the go-ahead run. And that pitch is laced foul down the left side and well back into the seats. No balls and a strike. Morales, a pair of walks tonight. He's also lined out twice, once to short and once to left. Ranger outfield playing in the no doubles alignment. They are extremely deep. Got the potential tying run at first base in the person of Raul Ibanez. Pitch slapped foul, so Morales now down on the count at 0-2 to Shepard. 6th sellout of the year, 46,476. And they are coming to their feet. 0-2 pitch. 1-2. Peppers threw an inning last night, and Ron Washington's assessment, it was better, but still not exactly where he wanted to be. Now the 1-2. 97 sinking outside. 2-2. Eric Wedge has the right men as far as he's concerned up there. Line drive caught by Moreland. The bat shatters, and Moreland shatters the hopes of the Mariners here in the 8th inning. They get a run on 2 hits but leave 1. We are going to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's now the Rangers 5, the Mariners 4 on Fox Sports Southwest. Good evening. Red, white, and blue in observance of the 4th of July, honoring all those who serve our country so selflessly. Kelly Cruz starting off the bottom of the 8th. The first pitch from Farquhar has popped up. The second baseman, Nick Franklin, handles. That is out number 1. Cruz now 0 for 4 tonight. And Adrian Beltre coming up. And our AT Uverse reverse replay. How about Beltre tonight? Leading off the second against Iwakuma. Oh my. 431 feet. Leading off the 7th, Iwakuma. 408 feet. Beltre, with those 2 blasts, moves past the legendary Joe DiMaggio with 362 career home runs now. And I don't care what list you're talking about. If you're mentioning the same breath with Joe DiMaggio, it's pretty impressive. Yep. Adrian, plenty more left in it. Drives this one down the right field line. It's trouble into the corner. It is foul. Just foul. Adrian watching it the whole way down there. Just tailed off.
Well, it had a lot of slice to it because it sure looked pretty fair coming off the bat.
Might have noticed Andy Chavez now as the right fielder. His pinch hitters in the top of the 8th necessitated some defensive changes. Chavez moving from center over to right. Check swing. The breaking ball is a bit low. A new center fielder for the Mariners. That's Dustin Acklin. And the new shortstop taking over for Brendan Ryan. That would be Brad Miller. 2-1 the count. Now 3-1. Beltre watches that breaking ball dart outside. Adrian now 16 home runs, 44 runs driven in. And he takes a knee-high strike to fill the count. Beltre trying to get aboard with 1 out. He'll be followed by the Ranger catcher, A.J. Brzezinski. Farquhar sets the payoff pitch. Beltre down to a knee and popped it foul. Well, the bullpen's again playing a big role here tonight. Ranger bullpen, and Speaking of bullpens, Joaquin Soria, some updates on him. He pitched for his second straight night. We'll watch Beltre fight that off. Again, Soria retiring all 3 hitters he's faced, a total of 8 pitches tonight. So that's back-to-back nights for Frisco, as Beltre smokes one to center for a base hit. Soria threw a total of 14 pitches and got 6 outs the last 2 nights. Now the AT Twitter poll results for you. Your favorite thing about the 4th of July? Very wise choice. 52% he said watching Rangers baseball. That's nice. Appreciate that very much, and they have rewarded you tonight with a great comeback here. Now Farquhar is finished for the evening. The left-hander Oliver Perez is coming out as Eric Wedge making another change. We'll take another timeout. Be right back to Rangers Ballpark after this on Fox Sports Southwest.
Of the 8th. What a tremendous ball game we have to talk about on the post-game show coming up, and we will have that for you right after the game with the help of Mark McLemore to break it all down. We'll hear from the skipper and the key players. We'll also hear from the newest member of the Rangers organization, Manny Ramirez, reporting to Round Rock today and talking with the media. We will hear his thoughts as he joins this organization, and it is the 4th of July, which means we've got to talk hot dog eating contest. You will not want to miss and hear and see all of those gory details. Buzz and Tom, that's all coming up on Rangers Eye, presented by Esurance. But first, back to you.
Sounds great, Dana. Thank you very much. Now the Rangers now facing the 31-year-old left-hander, Oliver Perez.
Oh, great numbers for Oliver Perez. 1.47 ERA. 43 strikeouts in 30 innings. That tells you he's had overpowering stuff.
Adrian Beltre, the runner at first, after a 1-out single. Beltre's 3rd hit of the night, and Krasinski 1 for 3. First pitch to him is wide. It's 1 ball, no strikes. AJ singled and scored in that 7th inning. Rangers put a 4 spot on the board to regain the lead in the 4th. Perez, the veteran left-hander, back to the plate. And deals a strike knee high. It is 1-1. Perez came on to work the 9th inning, final inning of that 9-2 Mariner win here on Tuesday night. Check that, he worked the 8th inning. This is outside. It's now 2-1 to Krasinski. Rangers 5 runs on 8 hits. Mariners 4 runs on 13 hits. Rangers committed 2 errors. The Mariners 1. Kind of a wild and woolly game after a fairly calm start. Outside, 3 balls and a strike.
Unusual at bat for AJ. He actually took a strike. And very patient at bat. Usually if it's anything close, he's hacking. Of course, those are somewhat unhackable right there. They're so far outside. But he actually was taken all the way for a strike. Not taken right there.
No.
Had a great rip at it.
He was coming out of his shoes trying to hit that one. And the count is full.
Got him into a fastball count and got a good fastball to hit.
AJ doing a lot of work prior to today's game. Early batting practice and in batting practice. He and Dave Magadan spent about 25 minutes just with a little toss to AJ, see if he can get his timing where he wanted it to be. Payoff pitch. Breaking ball, grounded to second. Franklin to Miller. Back to first, double play, and that will end the Ranger 8th inning. So Perez gets the job done. No runs, a hit, nobody left. Bottom of the ninth, and it is Joe Nathan time here at Rangers Ballpark. Is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. And by AT&T UVerse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. Well, the 9th inning has arrived here at Rangers Ballpark. Rangers clinging to a 5-4 lead. The Ranger closer, and soon to be named All-Star closer, I would have to say, Joe Nathan on for what would be his 28th save and his 29th opportunity.
Well, we've seen a lot of relievers coming in tonight with pretty good numbers. Joe going for save number 28 out of 29. His ERA is below 1.5. 153 opponent's batting average. Going to face the hot Kyle Seager. He's had 3 hits in the game. Ibanez has had 4 hits in the game. Joe going to try to make sure Seager doesn't get 4 hits in the game.
Nathan last night worked the 9th inning in that tie ball game. He faced Zunino, Miller, and Bay. And Seager takes strike 1 on the slider. Last night, Nathan struck out 2 of the 3. Struck out Bay and Miller. Tonight, Seager, Smoke, and Chavez, the first 3 scheduled. 0-1 pitch. 1-1. Seager, a pair of singles and a double. He has scored a run tonight. Got that batting average now up to 282. Pulled foul, and Nathan the advantage in the count at 1-2. Crowd starting to get into it here in the ninth inning. 6th sellout of the year. Watching Joe Nathan trying to close out this ninth inning. Popped up. Foul territory. That is going to be on top of the Mariners dugout and bounds back into the seats. Again, the breeze coming in from left center field, and if that ball had any thought of coming back to the playing surface, the breeze took care of that. That wind freshening a bit, as they say. 15, 16 miles an hour, it looks like. Nathan, hands together in front of him. Big sigh and goes into the wind. Again, the 1-2 pitch. Hit well to right field. Going back is Cruz. He's at the wall. Makes the catch. Up against the padding.
I thought that ball was gone off the bat. Must have had a little top spin on it. Didn't carry, and Nelly got it right at the wall. Wow. That's Seager is swinging the bat, boy. A little bit out in front of it. Might not have gotten everything behind it either.
Hit the curveball, and you saw Joe Nathan's reaction, asking A.J. Brzezinski, was that a bad pitch?
It didn't look terrible.
No, it wasn't awful. It was up a little bit more, I guess, than you would say would be ideal. But boy, you got to give Seager credit when he's swinging the bat this way.
Yeah,
he can hit some pretty close to good pitches. So 1 away, and the collective hearts starting to beat again here at Rangers Ballpark. And Justin Smoke, the hitter.
That's one of those times, Buzz, where it paid dividends to be playing no doubles, playing deep like that.
Yeah. Smoke 2 for 4 tonight. Justin now hitting in an even .260 as he faces Nathan. On the outside corner. Backdoor slider. One ball and one strike. Nathan back to the plate. Oh, that just missed. 2-1 to Smoke.
Mariners have left 12 men on tonight. The Rangers only 3. Ranger pitchers have pitched out of some serious jams, especially Martin Perez early in the game.
Yeah.
And one inning where they had first and third and nobody out, pitched out of it.
Nathan's 2-1 pitch. Chop foul, and it's 2-2.
A real nice job by Josh Lindblom. He came in and inherited a jam and pitched his way out of it.
Yeah, right now that stands to be the biggest couple of outs that anybody's gotten for the Rangers tonight.
He came in second and third and 1 out, struck out Smoke.
Nathan facing Smoke. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Smoke will back out and replant that foot. Justin Smoke 2 out of 5 in his career against Nathan. The 2-2. Got him swinging. Big curveball, and Smoke has gone on strike. 2 out.
Well, he fooled him, had him way out in front of it. That ball broke sharply, straight down. It swung right over the top of it.
Now Endy Chavez, 0 for 2 in his career against Joe Nathan. Chavez tonight is 0 for 2. He's grounded out twice. And a couple of walks. Fouled away, it's 0-1. And well, this crowd of 46,500 on their feet at Rangers Ballpark.
I'll get Chavez right here, and there's going to be a lot of people enjoying the fireworks tonight. One more big out to go.
Nathan rocks and deals. Line drive, base hit to right field. So Chavez keeps it going. He just served one into right for his first hit of the night. And Michael Saunders now has come out into the on-deck circle to grab a bat and hit for Henry Blanco. So Chavez now has created a little bit of a dilemma because he has very good speed at first base. He is carrying the tying run. And Michael Saunders, a left-handed hitter, is coming to the plate. you had a 2-run lead, you could play behind the runner at first, Chavez, but as he's carrying the tying run, you can't do that. Saunders pitch hit last night and walked in the 10th inning. And it was a big walk. He came around to score on Seager's home run. He takes a strike from Nathan. Saunders 3 out of 5 with a double against Joe Nathan. He has handled the Ranger closer very well. And Chavez stepping off his lead as Nathan sets. The 0-1. 0-2. The crowd ratcheting up the noise. They are letting the Rangers hear it now. The Mariners are hearing the same thing. No balls, 2 strikes. Nathan okays the sign. He's ready. Just outside.
Joe popped that fastball with a little extra, 95 miles an hour. Tried to paint the outside corner with it.
It's amazing what a roaring crowd will get you to do.
Gets your adrenaline pumping.
Sure does.
92 turns into 95.
And the din is rising once again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Call strike 3. He throws him like a DiGiorno pizza. And the Rangers come back to snap their 2-game losing streak. A 5-4 win tonight. And a lot of contributors, but none bigger than the man near screen, Adrian Beltre. A couple of home runs, a 3-hit night for the Rangers third baseman. And the Rangers able to subdue a very tough Seattle team.
He's definitely keeping the ball away from Saunders. Game on the line. Not going to give him a pitch he can pull. And he got the call on the pitch on the outside corner, and Wash breathes a sigh of relief. That was 3 hours of agony for Wash, I'll tell you that, after losing 2 straight. Big come from behind win.
A huge come from behind win. Joe Nathan with his 28th save in 29 opportunities this year. And that is 15 straight now for Nathan. Ron Washington's ball club winning their 49th of the year. They keep pace with the Oakland A's, a half game off the pace set by Oakland. Rangers able to win this ball game 5-4. And let's head down to the field where Rick Renner has one of the stars of the game. Rick.
That's right, Elvis Andrus, who knocked in the game winner, sac fly, single. How much did you guys need to have a big rally offensively just to get you guys going?
It was huge. I think that it was a great game, and thanks God that Adrian Beltre was huge for us, 2 homers, and it really helped us, to get the energy back.
Because you guys kind of have been in a rut. We haven't seen a 4-run inning since June 26, and this seems like this is kind of the thing that will spark you guys.
It is. I think that you always need that inning, that game to, get your energy back, and everybody was really energetic in that inning, and hopefully we can keep rolling.
Your buddy Adrian Beltre is now 75th all-time on the home run list, had a couple home runs. He's your buddy. You enjoyed tapping his head twice today, right?
It is. It's a lot of fun. I always tell him to keep hitting homers. That's a really good part of the game, but he's been huge, and he's our main guy right now, and every time he got an opportunity, he step up.
Was there any doubt you were going to win this one for the fans and this big crowd on the 4th of July?
It is. That's for all the fans that are coming in here that support us, and this winning for all you guys.
Congratulations, Elvis.
Thank you, guys.
Great win. Let's send it back upstairs to Buzz and Tom.
All right, Rick, thank you. Yeah, happy Elvis Andrus and a happy locker room as they get ready to watch the 4th of July fireworks here tonight. We will be back to Rangers Ballpark. Dana and Mac back to wrap it up. A 5-4 Ranger win right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.